in any spiritual practice, meditation should be the foundation, right? Like getting to understand your frequency, understanding your voice, your spirit, right? I want people to understand like everything that you want and desire is within you. And once you have that foundation, there's a level of ease and flow.
For me, this interview with Aquiera Halsey was a powerful reminder of what can be achieved through pure focus, clear intention, and unwavering commitment. She took massive action, made meaningful sacrifices, and transformed her life within just a few short years. Today, she's a respected practitioner who now shares her guidance, wisdom, and lived experiences to help uplift and guide others on their own journey. I'm blessed to have Aquiera with us today, and I hope you enjoy the interview. KarmaHub, sharing the spirit of the healing arts. I was looking at your bio, and well, there's so many things here. I'm just going to read it off.
Okay.
Okay. So it mentions. So you're a qualified life coach, a certified spirit medium, certified level 1 psychic intuitive, clinical hypnosis with a specialty in metaphysics and quantum physics.
Yes.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And with that, you can offer things like mediumship, psychic readings, spirit guide readings, energy healing, worthiness boost, spiritual coaching, past life readings, psychometry readings, energy protection, quantum intuition manifestation,
Yes.
and magnetism activation, hypnosis, of course.
Yes.
Well, wonderful. I we chatted a little bit the other day, and you have a fascinating awakening.
Boy, did I.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about your background.
Okay.
And then how you handled the big shift.
Okay, yeah, lots of shifts, yeah. So I'm Aquiera Halsey. I grew up in an apostolic church, so I grew up going to church 7 days a week. I call it having my Jesus credits. My mom had us going Monday through Sunday, and on Sundays from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. So when I went off to college, I decided that I was agnostic. Like I felt like there were higher beings around me, but I didn't want to define it. I knew I also didn't want to go to church forever, like I did growing up. So fast forward, I finished college. My girlfriend breaks up with me right after my graduation and says, "I think you should see my spiritual advisor." I was like, okay, like, this is a lot, right? So that was kind of my foray into spirituality. So I remember going to her spiritual advisor. I lived in Philadelphia. I went up to New York to Hell's Kitchen, to this little tiny storefront, and I had a reading, and like he told me things that I was just processing. Like I just realized that my mother was a narcissist and some of the things that I was experiencing, but I had literally realized it that day. I had never used that word until that day. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. So that was June 2011, from then throughout, now I still have him as a spiritual advisor. I would go up to New York, pandemic changed that, so now I call him, and things would always shift. And I would see how things would shift so quickly.
You mean like after you go to your spiritual advisor?
Yes.
Things would shift for you?
And specifically in my career, because I was so career driven back then, so that was the biggest aspect. So like sometimes I've experienced discrimination and bullying at work, and then suddenly people were like, the same bullies were like very friendly. I'm like, what the hell is happening? But I know what was happening. It was the energy work that I asked him to do on my behalf. So now fast forward, I'm laid off in 2022. My cousin, and I come from a spiritual family, my cousin is a sorcerer and an astrologer, and he's like, you should join Mystic University. Not forceful, but he's like, hey, you would learn a lot. So I sign up, and I joined, I think it was like a vision board, New Year, New You class, but I was actively getting pushed out the organization. I was placed on a performance improvement plan on my 91st day of what I felt and thought was my dream career, at the pinnacle of my career at the time. And I was like, I don't know. I went, didn't come back. So now we're going to jump ahead. 2023 was me people pleasing to my detriment. A lot of self-destruction, a lot of addictions coming up that had laid dormant. And I just didn't know how to express myself because what I had put together in my life of like being this career-driven woman, going up the ladder, doing X, Y, and Z, all of that crumbled. So now I'm actually going through an ego death and I don't know it at the same time, but I don't have any resources. So I'm calling my spiritual advisor like twice a month. You know, this costs money, right? So I'm like, what the heck? So finally I say to myself, I called my spiritual advisor twice in the first week of January 2024. And I was like, I'm ready to learn how to fish, right? Like my cousin has taught me some things. This is the person I go to when something is crazy, right? Like my spiritual advisors are like my board of directors. So I go to one for this thing, one for that thing, but I don't go to them for the same problems. So I decided to return back to Mystic University in January 2024. I said, you know, I'm going to give it 6 months. I'm going to teach. I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn how to fish. And my first class was January 8th, 2024. And it was a timeline matrix reconstruction class. And timeline matrix reconstruction is essentially going into a different timeline, past, present, or future, and altering that reality, right? So I had never even heard of this. And Divine Mother Monica Bay, who's the teacher and who founded Mystic University and is my spiritual advisor and spiritual life coach, she starts talking and I start crying profusely. I mean, like I'm at a funeral and I'm like, what is happening? I don't even understand. I rarely cry in public. Like I'm on video camera. What is going on? And she's like explaining timeline matrix reconstruction. We're working on the past because we did past, present, and future. And she goes into the meditation. She puts on the shamanic drums and I'm instantly transported to my childhood home. So much trauma, abuse, and things that I felt like I had worked through in therapy, but it's all at the surface. And like, even now as I'm saying it, it's like I had compartmentalized a lot of it. And so it's almost like I'm in a movie, a vision, like I'm dreaming, like I'm dropped into my childhood home. And I see myself confronting my mother, like, you did these things to me. You harmed me. You hurt me. You took pieces away from me until I have nothing left to give. It's interesting because I feel the tears coming up because I could see myself back there right now. And I grew up in a basement apartment. It's my mom and my brothers, my younger brothers are identical twins. And I see myself walking up the stairs backwards and out the door. And I was like, this is profound, right? Like, why am I walking backwards, right? Like, it's almost like a rewind. And I go outside and I turn into this black puff of smoke and energy and it just like disappears. And I woke up, not woke up, but like came out the meditation and I just felt so much clearer and lighter and heavier. And not heavier, but like releasing all the heaviness. And it was like the conversations I never got to have with my mother, because I've had conversations with her, but she would just be silent. I had then, but I never felt that energetic release. And so that was the beginning of my journey. Thank you so much. That was the beginning of my journey at Mystic University and the beginning of my spiritual awakening. So the rest of the year was
So you would consider
that
a hypnosis session. Was it a particular type of hypnosis, or what was that you went through? So
it was a shamanic journey. So now that I'm a clinical hypnotist, I understand the comparisons now. So shamanic drums and hypnosis are both focused on activating your theta brainwaves, but it's for your subconscious to take a front seat and your conscious mind to take a back seat. And so then I'm not analyzing what's happening, right? Like it's just what is actually the subconscious patterns underneath, the emotional patterns, the subconscious beliefs are coming up to the forefront to address them and then reprogram with new anchors. So the trigger was my childhood, and now the new anchor is I'm free, right? I'm literally no longer in my childhood home. I'm no longer 16 years old. So I am free, but now mentally I'm free.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So how is like a shamanic journey or hypnotism or any other methods, how are they able to actually put you back in that type of, or put you in that type of brainwave?
So for shamanic journeying, I've been taught it's the shamanic drums, right? So the drums, the beat of the drums, it activates your heart chakra, your heart center, and then that helps you get into the theta brainwave state. For hypnosis, it's about the journey itself. So the words that I use, I'm trying to remember all the clinical terms, but there's like the induction process. So I can rapidly induce you. Like if I say something like, now you're feeling sleepy, now you're feeling heavier, deeper, like it's rapid pace, versus utilizing certain terms and the tone of my voice, and even wiring in the shamanic drums too. I personally don't weave in music to my hypnosis or hypnotherapies. I'm not the most tech savvy at times, so that's one of the reasons.
Right.
But I oftentimes allow my clients to have something in the background for them to help them get into the meditative state, especially if they have a busy mind.
Right.
So those are some of the similarities. But the focal point for both of them is to allow your subconscious to come forward, to allow your higher self to come forward. And so you can get the answers that are actually there within. We always talk about the answers are within, but sometimes we're like, how do we get to the answers? And that's one of the beautiful vehicles to do so.
So it sounds like you've always been spiritual. You always had kind of that belief, that background, but it wasn't until you decided to start fishing for your own fish that things really started to change for you.
And rapidly. Rapidly. So I told you about the first class that I was in, and I didn't take Mystic University seriously until about April because I was still struggling with addictions. Even though I said I would only be there 6 months, I was like, okay, I'd take class here, or like if there was something to distract me, I would easily not go to class. And so the first Sunday of April 2024, I went to the monthly healing circle and I said, Divine Mother, I think I have an addiction. And so during the healing circle, we share our petitions for healing, and then she does the healing energetic work on us. And then sometimes she'll tell us collectively some of the things that she always tells us what she's removed and what she's instilled in us. But depending on what we share publicly, right, she'll follow up. So I said, hey, I'm dealing with addiction. And she was like, yeah, you are dealing with addiction. I removed some things from you. You need to schedule a private session with me.
So was this on the side, or was this part of that program?
Yes, it's part of Mystic University.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so I know many of those courses, from what I remember, are virtual.
Yes, they're all virtual.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And so even that was virtual as well? Okay.
I actually have never met the Divine Mother in person. The week that she was here in Maryland, I was moving. And so I actually couldn't meet her. But she's in Mexico. She was in Atlanta for a while, and now she's been in Puebla, Mexico for years. So yeah, everything is virtual. Which even that, it's like I go from not being a part of spirituality to like, oh, this is virtual, but I feel the healing. I feel the difference. Like, what is going on? Okay, no, across all time and space. Like it deconstructed many of my preconceived notions. So I signed up for a private session 4 days later or 3 days later, that following Wednesday. And she's like, you have abandonment wounds, worthiness issues, childhood traumas, and things I know, but I'm like, how the hell do you know this? Like, I'm actually defensive. And it also aligned with the fact that in March, up until maybe a few days before the healing circle, I had worked with my first oracle deck, the African Goddess Oracle deck, and I decided to work with the oracles for 30 days. So every day I would ask a question. I didn't even know I was like practicing my intuition and deepening that practice of divination, but I was working with the oracles every day, and I would ask a question and see who came up, right? And so I met all 30 oracles. I think it's more than 30, but I met all the oracles. But in true analytical fashion, I wrote down what day and who I met. And so I saw and I met Goddess Atiti 9 times. It was 8 or 9 times. 8. It was, my spirit's like, it was 8 times. And she's the goddess related to worthiness. And I was like, I already kind of picked up on some of my self-worth issues, like overgiving, not thinking I'm enough, feeling like I had to earn things, just patterns that I grew up with in childhood. So that first session, hypnosis, was like, I felt the energy shift. I felt lighter. I remember coming out of the hypnotherapy like, this feels different, right? But I'm still processing, and I don't have a proxy. And so my addiction presented itself the next day. And I remember looking at the messages and being like, I don't want to do this, right? Like something that had such a strong hold on me, right? Like I would drop everything to feel that high, that rush of the addiction again. Like I even lied to my best friend of 12 years over some of my behaviors, right? So I'm willing to go to deep depths. My therapist said I was a compulsive sex addict, not obsessive. Went from obsessive to compulsive. Call me every day to, I don't want to do this, right? And just one hypnotherapy session. So that made me believer. And I continued on my journey from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a wonderful story.
It was a intense story, intense journey. And so that was just the beginning.
Well, your original background is engineer. What?
Oh, so business undergrad, public health grad.
Okay.
So science nerd through and through.
I'm fascinated when people that have the very scientific mind, very analytical mind, then are able to open up to a completely different world. I struggle with that quite a bit. I get stuck in my head a lot. Mm-hmm. And I love to see, I'm inspired by the people that think similarly as I do and then are just able to open up and connect and do all these amazing things.
I definitely hear you because when I was in school, I would hear about theory. I would take classes that are, foundations and it's talking about theory. And I'm like, what is this theory? Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. I want practical real life examples. And in this case of spirituality, it was a practical real life example, right? Like time and time again, my life became the real life example. I could see I am obsessing over things and I have this session and now it's gone away. I'm obsessing to the point where my thoughts are ruminating on this one topic, this one energy. I feel it in my body. I feel it in my shoulders. Like it's almost like having a migraine so bad that you feel it in your neck and shoulders. Like I've had that energy and it just evaporated. And I'm like, I don't understand what happened. Like I don't know if I fully want to learn just yet, but I know that I feel better. So it's helping me dig in deeper. I'm willing to learn more. And then simultaneously, right around maybe the week before I went to the healing circle, I was like, I want to learn more about my ancestors. I want to hear more, right? And I remember daydreaming and then hearing a cacophony of sounds and then hearing no. And it's like, I have those moments where it's like, did this just happen? Yeah, this happened, right? So it all anchored in a different way. So it was a beautiful integration. I'll also add that during the beginning of my healing stage, I heard my spirit and my spirit guides, my ancestors. I didn't know all of them at the time, but they said, we gave you everything you wanted. It's our time now. And so a part of my battle with addiction was I saw impending death in my life 3 times, right? So, and I'm one who likes patterns. I'm a science nerd, right? So I'm like, okay, this time was not bad. Okay, this got a little worse. Okay, this was really bad this time, right? Like, what's the 4th time? I don't know. I might as well not even figure that out. And so thinking about that in my mind, like, okay, 4th time, death is going to ensue or worse suffering, right? Like, and as I'm an analytical person that takes calculated risks, I can't say what that additional suffering will look like, right? So I'm having trouble now. This might be, whatever. It might be my worst nightmare plus some. And so that helped me anchor in a little bit more as well, because I was like, well, why not? I've already tried all these different things. I've suffered most of my life, right? From childhood to now, right? Because of family challenges, things that happened in the home in the dark. Let me try something different. And in the process of trying something different, I signed up for 9 hypnotherapy sessions. My mother was like, you need to be on a program. I'm like, and without even thinking about it, I was like, okay, I'm going to pay now, right? Like, it was just from apprehensive to like, okay, let's try this. And things started to move forward. Things became clearer. I had my first quantum leap a month later, which that was a wild experience in itself, because collectively in the first 6 months of my journey from April, starting my spiritual journey really in April, from May to October, I had 6 quantum leaps.
Wow.
So,
and what exactly do you mean by quantum leap?
So I went from 3D consciousness to 6D consciousness. I went from not being aware spiritually to being in new timelines, right? Jumping timelines, right? Old versions of me falling away. I even had to upgrade my cells, right? Like there's a practice called biokinesis where your mind is able to control your cellular functions, right? So on the quantum level, I had to go into my cells and be like, you need to hold more spiritual power, right? Because I literally felt growing pains. It felt like I had the flu I actually did this once. I went skiing for my 21st birthday. I was like, I activated muscles I didn't even know I had. Right. So it felt like all of that in one, but I'm not sick, right? And there's no sinus, it's just in my body. And so then I worked on biokinesis and cellular upgrading, and then my body like reset. It was like, it went from being the sorest where stretching is not helping, walking is not helping, to like, all right, let me do this energy work on myself and then transform to then hold more power and continue upgrading. So there was a lot in my first 6 months of spirituality. Just the upgrades, friendships falling away, preconceived notions falling away. Sometimes we have traumas that are so deep, you want to hold on to the fragments themselves. And it was like, no, all of this is getting burnt away. Like, you need to move forward. And the beautiful part of it was, in those quantum leaps, as I evolved, I got closer to my ancestors. My spiritual gifts came in. They refined throughout the process. And by December of that year, I realized I had healed my mother wound. I had healed that trauma and went back to heal the ancestor that ancestral trauma started with. And it was like, I am free.
So tell me a little bit about that. When you heal trauma in your life and your, lineage, right? Mm-hmm. You can actually heal the ancestral trauma.
Yes.
In past lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I did.
Okay. And how can you talk on that a little bit? Speak on that?
Yep. So the timeline matrix reconstruction work that I did in the beginning was a foundation, right? So the beginning of January. In October, I did an ancestral ritual. I created a portal for my ancestors to come through and speak with me. And I, set my intentions. And it was actually for Halloween. So it was beautiful, right? Like, all of our ancestors are kind of more prominent because the veil is thin. And after that class, my spirit's like, you need to work on some ancestral ritual. So I picked up Divine Mother's advanced ancestral ritual book, and I just utilized bibliomancy. So close my eyes, or sometimes I open my eyes and I'm like, what do I need to look at, right? Or open the book. And it fell upon a chapter of working with wounded ancestors. And I saw this ancestor from the 1700s. She was a little girl, and it tied back into, you won't believe this, but like May 2024, we had Intuition Ignition Circle, our psychic reading practice circle, and it was about past lives. And my cousin, the astrologer sorcerer, said when you were 7, you were prosecuted and hung because you had spiritual gifts, and they thought you were a witch. And that was the ancestor that I saw. And so I could see the wound, right? Because from that reading, in May, I kept thinking to myself, like, what does my life look like with spirituality? What, like, it feels like an uphill battle, right? Like, as a child, I'm wounded. As a child in this lifetime, I've been wounded. Like, what does this look like? Why is this perpetuated? So when I saw that ancestor, I had to speak with them, talk about what they were feeling, why they were holding on to the wound. And I understood why, right? Persecuted wrongly, and being so young, it wasn't just, you couldn't fight for yourself. You couldn't, really speak up for yourself.
Right.
So then I spoke to her about that, and I spoke to her about Antoinette, my mother. And I said, now I have to release you with love. Like, you cannot stay here, right? And so I know different protection methods, but I have a Mayan knife that I use to remove negativity and vanish things. And so I removed that ancestor from me. And I was like, now you need to return back to the universe, right? Like, you are free. Cut the cords, you are free. Well, the ancestor didn't fully leave. And again, I'm still new in spirituality. I'm feeling like a baby giraffe. Like, I'm big, yet I'm small. I'm learning so many things. And so I book a past life regression with one of my fellow practitioners at the Wisdom Network. And she sees that the ancestor's right there, like, orbiting my aura. And she's like, we need to actually really release her. And so we do that work together. And that was the final piece. Like, I'd already had the energetic release of, like, I'm done, right? Like, I did it. I'm free of the grief that I carried. Part of that too was in that November, that Thanksgiving, I wasn't searching for family. I came to realize meditation. And I was like, I'm staying home, right? Like, my friends are like, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? I'm like, I'm staying home. I need to do this for myself, right? So that, like, the tendrils of grief are releasing, right? After the ancestral healing. And then the final piece was like, no, you've watched me. You know what I'm doing. Now you finally have to move off. And as I did that, I could see visions of my mother regress from her as an adult to her being a child. Because although I've endured a lot of suffering at her hands, I know she's a person too. Our parents are people too.
Right.
And they do the best that they can in that moment in time with the information they have. Right now, I can't convince her to see my perspective. That I'm not in the business of convincing people, but I understood her trauma and her journey, and I healed her to the best of my ability, right? Because you could heal someone and they could still want to keep on to parts that no longer serve them. So I healed her to the best of my ability by healing our ancestor, healing her, healing me, conversely healing the timeline, and moving forward.
Now, do you do that basically with visualization, or like how do you know that happened? Is it something you feel? Is it something you know? Is it something you see or imagine? All of those things kind of coming together, and just there's like a congruency within your body, just knowing that it has occurred.
Yes.
And it's like rewired within yourself, and theoretically for decades, centuries back.
Yes. So it's a myriad of things, right? So clairvoyance is not my strongest clair, but I am more clairvoyant now. I'm deeply claircognizant, so the knowing, clairsentient, sensing in my body, clairaudience, my hearing, right? So those are my top 4 clairs. So I felt all of it. I could see the ancestors. It was like a vision, like I was watching a movie. I could see all of that. I could feel the energetic release in my body. I could see energy coming off of me. Like, it almost looked like white mist, like evaporating off of me. I can see the air molecules around me changing. I can see the ancestor in the galaxy. I can see past versions of Antoinette, right? Like, I literally could see her as a child. I also will add that I have the ability to remote view. So I can go back into a different timeline and see the vision of what someone was doing in their life at that point of time. Right? I do it with my ancestors. That's how I did some ancestor veneration. I did it with my mother, right? So I could see some of the things that happened in her life that she's never specifically shared with me, but that made her take certain actions and behaviors, right, and replicate it forward. And so that was a part of the vision, but also my ancestors, my grandmother particularly, came in later on and said, like, hey, these things happen. And I'm grateful that you've cleared the timeline. And I'm grateful that you extended grace to your mother, right? Because I could have been a vicious person and said, like, you did these things to me, so I want you to suffer too. And that just wasn't me.
Right.
So yeah, it was interesting because these are almost all of the techniques I learned at Mystic University. I learned the foundational techniques, right? Like I wanted to learn how to fish, but the evolution and the execution of how they combined in my healing journey was like, that's not what I actually set out to do at Mystic University. Just like a meditation, I had no expectations. It was just, let me see. I just want to feel better. I just don't want to call my spiritual advisor twice in 1 week because I could pay for Mystic University and learn some things, right? And lo and behold, I healed my mother wound, which is something that I thought I would die with, right? I thought I would always be in this level of suffering of like, I don't have a mom in this world. My dad passed away when I was 17, so I don't have parents. And my mom is clinically depressed, so I'm a daughter of depression. Like, I thought I would always be in that energy. And it's like, I'm free of that. I don't have to explain to people. I don't over-explain anymore. I don't have to explain my dynamic. I don't get frustrated with people don't have that lived experience. Look, I wouldn't wish that lived experience on anyone, right? Like, my childhood was akin to the movie Precious. It was very hard. I wouldn't wish that on my own enemy.
Right.
But to be able to be free, even in this conversation, the lightness that is around me, because I know I did the work to heal myself and everyone else involved so we can all move forward collectively. Yeah.
So with all of these methods that you learned, what do you do these days? Do you kind of incorporate them all? Is it your own version of some of those methods? Like, what have you assembled these days? Like, what does your day look like, and how do you work with your people, your clients, or?
Okay. My day starts with meditation. That was the biggest part because I had never done meditation before. This journey, like I remember, like listening to like 30-day meditation challenges and never being able to get past 3 days. And like during that process, I meditated for about 3 months straight. And my nurse practitioner, talk about science, my nurse practitioner was like, your blood pressure is so much lower, right? Like I was just looking at the paperwork and I was like, it was like 164 over something. And now it's like 129 over something. And I was like, oh, okay, this is the science. I could really see the difference. Like I was so happy that I started dancing in the parking lot. I was like, okay, meditation is helpful. So that's what I start with. With my clients, I always ground them first, right? Like when I go for readings, the practitioners that I work with don't normally ground me, but I already have my practices in place. So I always ground my clients first. And it's a simple practice for them, but I lead them through deep breath exercise, taking 3 deep breaths in. But on the second and third breath, we inhale light, exhale heaviness, inhale peace, exhale clarity.
Love it.
And that roots them down. And it roots me down again, too. Many of my clients come to me for things that I've had to heal from, right? Mother moon, identity issues, the ego death, the identity, your career being your sole identity, losing yourself in relationships, people pleasing. But the biggest thing, to my surprise, is really ancestral veneration and connection. Like the foundational aspects of like, I want to learn more and how do I connect with my ancestors, as well as focusing on their subconscious beliefs and emotional patterns that make them feel like they're not enough. Right. Helping them realize that they've always been enough. They've always been worthy just as they are, right? They don't have to earn worthiness. They don't have to earn validation. They don't have to seek it out with other people. It's within them. That has been the biggest thing. And conversely, then my clients end up having the confidence, self-trust, and healthy boundaries that they knew they wanted, but they couldn't pinpoint how to achieve them, right? Because thankfully I can say this, I'm a poster child for this. Like, it's not my portion. We're not doing this, right? So, yeah, my clients come to me for that a lot. I have a lot of, I'm a psychic. I'm also a medium, a channel. So a lot of times, people will come for a psychic reading first and then follow up with a spirit guide reading because they're like, who's my spirit guide? Do I have an animal? Is it an ancestor? What do they want, right? And then while I was telling you about the remote viewing, I could see that ancestor, right? Like our ancestors often show up as the version that they want to present. So young, old, right? Okay. From different timelines. Or not being facetious, but sometimes I love when the ancestors will tell me something and I'm like, yeah, you need to do this. And it's right there. And they're like, how do you know? And I'm like, I can see very well. Or I'm like, yeah, like your ancestors hanging on the wall and that's where they want their altar. And they're like, yeah. All right. So, I love having those sessions with clients. So that's the work I get to do, and I'm super proud of it. I'm so proud of it. Like all the things I've healed from, and more is what people come to me for.
What did you do before all of this?
Before I was a corporate ladder climber. I remember graduating college and being like, I will sell my soul to be able to pay off my student loans. Be careful what you ask for and what you say, right? Before I even understood the power of thought, the power of our mind. Because when I had that consulting job, I paid off all my credit card debt. I paid off $20K of credit card debt, had $20K in savings, and I was getting ready to pay off my student loans. And then in all of that, I realized the falsehoods that I had around me, right? Like, if I make this money, I'll be here, right? And I didn't even care about money. I'm like, oh, Lauren, you need $50, here you go. Cousin that hasn't called me in 5 years, here you go, right? Like, it comes back to me, right? Like, I'm abundant, I'm prosperous, right? Like, my presence makes things shift around me, so it will come in return. But having that ego death, having that layoff experience, because I was grasping at claws, like, what do you mean? Like, you guys have recruited me twice for this position. I need to be here, right? Not having acceptance to then having to sit. I was laid off for 7 months. I'm someone who was always recruited for jobs. Cross state lines I've moved to being like, wait, you have to sit with this, right? So my imposter syndrome got addressed, right? That was also a part of some other things. Addiction flared up, relationships where friendships, professional relationships, mentorships, where I overextended myself, were all put on the chopping block for me to see people's behaviors, right? And almost, I've learned chess a little bit. I'm not a great player, but the strategy, right? Like sometimes you want to jump and make a move, but if you take a moment to wait, you'll see what the other player wants to do. And I can poignantly give you an example of like a friend from college that I traveled throughout this country with. I called him and I was like, hey, I just want to, talk, catch up. I'm not the one who wants to dump all of my sadness onto people. That's just not me. Right. And to this day, he's never called me back. I got laid off in 2022. And he will send a Christmas card. He'll do stuff. And I'm like, what was it worth? Right? That was my takeaway from that chapter. What was it worth? Like, and in hindsight, I realized I was always searching for family in other people. And I never wanted to search for it within myself. I never found home within myself. Right? So now you look at the parallel of me healing my mother wound. I found home within myself. The people that I thought were home for me or safe spaces or chosen family, they fell away. As I did work on myself and set healthy boundaries and worked on my people-pleasing behavior, right? And worked on my fearful, avoidant attachment style to evolving now and being the opposite of that, being secure within myself and my home becoming my palace. I attract different people, right? And that's a part of that those quantum leaps and the timeline jumping, right? Now I can't go back, even if I wanted to. It doesn't even look enticing to go back. It doesn't even feel energetically aligned to go back because it's not. Right. And I saw how people treated me. I had a different friend, and he said, well, I didn't call you because I thought you had a new job. And I said, well, you assumed. Why did you assume? And he didn't have an answer. And I understand we're all busy. You know, life gets in the way. You know, there's some seasons where it just seems like you can't hold your head above water with the amount of tasks that are on your to-do list.
Right.
But the word that comes up right now, and the word that I often talk about, is care. Right? Like, we all deserve care. And I'm worthy of reciprocity. I'm worthy of many things. I'm worthy of restoration too, but I'm worthy of reciprocity. And so if I care for you, and we are supposed to care for each other, if you cannot extend care, articulate that at some point of time, instead of just being dismissive of my feelings, my experience.
That makes sense.
And so that was a big epiphany of what I was doing before. Because if I would introduce, hi Lauren, I'm Kira, I'm a biostatistician, I'm a data nerd, right, through and through. My MPH in public health, and I work in hospitals, and I'm a consultant. But that really meant nothing. And when people asked me who I was and what my identity was, that's what I would say.
And now what is it?
I'm worthy comes up.
Okay.
That's just it. I am me. I'm not to be defined. I'm not to be boxed in. But I can tell you I'm nurturing. I can tell you that when you're in my energy, in my presence, things shift. That you will be nurtured. You will be heard. I will hold space for you. The same way I do for myself, right? And I'm no longer looking for that in other people because I know I sustain that for myself. So I can tell you how I show up in the world, and you can decide what parts you want to participate in, what parts you would like to experience, and make an informed decision for yourself.
Wonderful. And
to me, that feels a heck of a lot better than, hey, this is who I am by checking the box.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
While you were going through all of this, what was your biggest aha moment?
About a month after my first hypnotherapy session, so it was the beginning of May, Divine Mother had told me I needed to stop drinking, be celibate, right? And I understand the difference between abstinence and celibacy. And I was like, okay, I've done enough in my life, so that's fine. I gotta accept that. No shrooms, no weed, right? Like, clarity. I called it raw dogging life. And I remember calling over someone I used to interact with during my addiction. And I was like, I just want to see you. I just want to give you a hug, right? So I'm tempting myself, right? I'm like, literally a month of celibacy. I'm like, I'm doing so great, but I just want to see you. I just want to get a hug. And so I'm tempting myself, and the guy comes over, and they come over to the house, and I look, and I'm like, I'm just turned off. But instead of being like, hey, go home or whatever, I'm like, we can hang out. And so there's a moment where I'm like, I could go back to who I used to be. I can go back to the activities that I used to do. Or I can move forward and be proud of myself. Like, I don't want to restart the clock. Right? And that was the analytical aspect of me. Like, because if you tell me what to do, I'm going to rebel normally. Right? If you tell me I need to fast, I'm like, I want to eat. I want to eat all these things before I start.
But now it's totally in your hands, and you can make the call.
Right? So they come over, we hang out, and there's a moment where I'm thinking about making a different decision. So they go to the bathroom, I look at my phone, and there's a WhatsApp message from the Divine Mother at 10:13 p.m. To that day, and to this day, almost 2 years later, she's never texted me at 10 o'clock at night. Like, it was something that I asked earlier in the day. And I looked at the phone and I was like, I don't want to do this. I want to be proud of myself. And that was so profound because it wasn't about me giving my power away, right? Like, so many times I've done things for other people. Like, I'm going to go to the gym to be fit because somebody else is going to be like, oh, you look so fit. But this time was like, what does Aquiera want? What does Aquiera feel? And Aquiera wants to be proud of herself. Aquiera wants to sleep at night without regret. And I never looked back. And that week, I had my first quantum leap. It was like it was like that test of like, you're so close. How badly do you want it? Right? But without putting the pressure, it was just like, here's a presentation. You could take it if you want. And I call it raw dog in life, but I raw dog life for a full year. The next April, I said, Divine Mother, can I like go back to doing things that I used to do because I've healed? And she said yes. But that was the foundational discipline that helped me lean in perpetually after that, right? Like being disciplined with my studies, with how I saw my spiritual practice, right? The meditation, the learning, the foundations. I called my apartment rehab after that because it was like, all I could do was just be here doing these things, but I got to feel, I got to experience. That was a major aha for me.
As we begin to wrap things up, is there anything else that you'd like to add or discuss, or any highlights you want to circle back around to?
I want people to know that they're enough. The tears are coming. Damn it. Even this is so, my tears are liberation. There was a point in time where I didn't cry, right? Because it was about controlling my emotions for safety. And so now that they're coming so freely, it's like, oh my goodness. You're worthy. Your inherent worth is not predicated on how somebody else feels about you or what you can do for someone else. And I personally feel like that's reinforced in so many areas of our society, our family structures and systems. And once you start to get that inkling and get the snowball rolling that you are enough just as you are, you were born worthy, baby, it's like twirling in the wind, right? Like laughter like a child. Like, it's just so freeing.
Nice. What's one thing, if everybody knew or recognized, that would change the world?
No is a full sentence, right? Something simple, but no is a full sentence. When I first heard that, I was upset. I was like, how dare you? But it's true, because it goes down to your boundaries, right? Our boundaries are for our interactions with other people. And when you can establish emotional boundaries for yourself, that clears up a lot of things. Yeah, so the one word would be no.
If you could compress your understanding of the healing arts into one piece of wisdom, what would it be?
Energy is seen and unseen in realms, this one included. You may not see it, but you can feel it. You can hear it, you can sense it. Don't dismiss it.
If you could have invited any spiritual teacher or healer, living or not, to join this conversation, who would it be and why?
I had two spiritual teachers. Divine Mother Monica Bay, who has taught me foundations of metaphysics, right? And why? I mean, again, I'm a nerd, so there's over 130 classes at Mystic University. I've taken over 115, right? So different modalities, right? Thinking outside the box. A part of spirituality for me, metaphysics for me, is the visualization, right? You have one idea, but then you see or hear somebody else say something and it's like, whoa, right? Your mind opens, your world opens. Even like watching movies, right? You're like, oh my gosh, it's a possibility. Possibilities are endless. I love how the Divine Mother always says, don't think about how to do it, just do it, right? I would also include Dominic Holmes, my astrology teacher, because there's so much power in understanding your natal chart. That's your soul's manual, right? Like the date and time we were born and incarnated into this realm and into Earth. You learn so much. When I started to learn my natal chart in this journey, I understood me. I actually remember first looking at my birth chart and looking over my shoulder thinking I was on The Office, like, how do y'all know? Who knows this, right?
Right.
So they, hand in hand, learning metaphysical foundations and astrology from the Divine Mother Monica Bay and Dominic Holmes. Those are the two teachers I would sit with endlessly and tell anyone to sit with, because they are a wealth of knowledge.
Nice. How does someone choose what healing practices to use when there are so many options?
The foundational part is trusting your intuition, right? So
Okay.
in any spiritual practice, meditation should be the foundation, right? Like being able to, I don't want to say specifically quieting your mind, but getting to understand your frequency, understanding your voice, your spirit, right? And then conversely hearing the energies around you. From there, you would be able to understand what practice is great for you. So some days I have an idea of something, right? Like I might want to work with the element of fire, but my spirit's like, no, you really need to work with the element of water, right? So instead of transmutation and burning something away, I need to work with emotions, right? The element of water is emotions. And I can hear that clearly because of my intuition, because I sat with it. And again, I'm, nerdy and scientific. So I'd be like, all right, well, what about this way? What about that way? Let me add it, double negatives. Is it a different outcome? To the point where it was like, I understand my intuition. I understand my inner voice. I understand my higher self. I understand my future self, right? Like I understand the different frequencies. And it's because I sat with myself to discern my intuition, reinforce it, and now my intuition guides me.
Beautiful. What's one question you wish more people would ask about spirituality and the healing arts?
What if the possibilities lead to change, right? Lead to peace, lead to the things that you desire, right? Oftentimes I say suffering is a choice. Like I said in my beginning of my journey, I did things and it was like, you saw it 3 times, you could keep going, right? So what if, that was my question, what if this could help me change? What if the possibilities led to my heart's desires? And I think if you start there, you'll be open to the journey. Yeah.
Love it. And how can people reach you?
I am a practitioner exclusively at the Wisdom Network. Again, my name is Aquiera Halsey, so you can look at the list of practitioners. I'm listed there. I'm actually the top practitioner at the Wisdom Network, which is awesome.
Wow.
To have that full circle journey of like, wow, this is really me. Like, I leaned in and my guides led me. So I'm a practitioner at the Wisdom Network. All of my offerings are there, my single service offerings like intuition readings and manifestations to coaching sessions, which are ongoing, and the hypnosis and spiritual life coaching. So yeah, that's where I could be reached at. I'm also on Instagram and Threads as Worthiness Coach. I write articles for Mystic Circle magazine as Worthiness Coach. I plan to do some other things on other platforms like YouTube, Pinterest, Reddit. So as Worthiness Coach as well. So that is the brand, Worthiness Coach. So that's where I could be found.
Can you think of anything else?
My spirit is saying, this journey is sacred. It's not always sweet. Sometimes it's very hard. But it gets better. And it's worth it. Yeah.
Wise words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a tissue now. Yeah. Okay, spirit. I thought I was done crying. But yeah, it's I can say this. I've noticed in my generation there's a heavy focus, and I'm a millennial, there's a heavy focus on dating and finding your person. But in this journey to worthiness, once you find you, everything aligns. Waking up with peace and happiness and joy and all the other words that you have searched for, right? Like that being present in your life, that evolves your magnetism, right? So you're no longer worried about, hey, does this person like me? Does this person want to be around me? Now you're aligning with beings that are supposed to be in your life in this timeline until you continue to evolve. And maybe they'll go on the next timeline with you, right? Like, I want people to understand, like, everything that you want and desire is within you. And once you have that foundation, there's a level of ease and flow. I oftentimes tell my clients, like, I live a life of surrender and trust and be in flow, because we so badly want to control things, but we can't, right? That was the biggest epiphany for me. Like, I thought I was in control. I was total type A. I wasn't in control of anything in my life, right? Like, I had a mindset, and truly if I was in control, I wouldn't have had all the hardships that I had, right? But once I learned surrender and trust in myself and with divine alignment, divine time, and just became in flow, just being in flow with what was happening, life got better. It wasn't, let me organize the pieces this way. No, what's supposed to happen is going to happen. And it might be, and it oftentimes is, more beautiful than I ever expected. And that's the best part. So be in flow. That would be my last words. Be in flow. And trust me, my clients hate when I say it. They're like, be in flow. But then when you are, it's like, it's peace of mind. Like, hey, I get the mirror back too. Sometimes I want to get wound up, and Spirit's like, be in flow. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Lauren. This was beautiful. This was liberating.